Chapter 4. Take action. Do you want to know who you are? Don't ask. Act. Action will delineate and define you. Thomas Jefferson. Just as it is in life, every real estate investor's journey is different. However, every successful millionaire real estate investor, regardless of their asset class of choice, has one major trait in common. They took action. To be successful in real estate, you must take action and buy your first deal. In today's information age, one has access to endless amounts of data at their fingertips for any topic of their choosing, with an enormous amount being free. You can even access free college-level instruction from Ivy League schools such as Princeton and Harvard universities. Additionally, podcasts provide unprecedented access to tactical-level experts from any and every industry. So, it is extremely easy for someone new to real estate investing to become overwhelmed with information as they listen to podcasts, watch YouTube, attend meetups, and read books. Analyst paralysis can set in very easily if you aren't careful. When coupled with fear, it can cause an impassable barrier in acting and making progress in obtaining your investing goals. From working 3 jobs to having your own TV show. I want to share a great story from my friend Dave. Dave is one of the most down-to-earth, straight-shooting guys you will ever meet. Dave immigrated to the U.S. at the age of 19 from an impoverished inner-city neighborhood in London, England. After moving here and eventually becoming a firefighter and working odd jobs during the week, he mentally and physically entered a bad place. Some weeks, he would work 120 hours to provide for his family. Dave shared with me, "It's amazing. You get to a point where you're forced into making decisions sometimes, and I'm praying and praying, my God help me." I was humbled. I said, "Look, Lord, teach me, help me. I'm crying like a baby for real." A commercial came on the radio in my truck, and it was for a real estate seminar about foreclosures, an hour-and-a-half seminar for free. The seed was planted. However, it didn't bear immediate fruit. He didn't go and attend the seminar. It took almost a year before he took action to become more educated on real estate. When he participated in the seminar, the instructor started saying things he'd never heard before. I could hear the excitement pick up in Dave's British accent. The instructor asked, "Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired and trading your time for somebody else's money, building their retirement, their legacy, taking care of their children's education, buying them a nice house, giving them a good night's sleep?" He said, "Are you sick and freaking tired of doing that? And if you are, you can do something different, if you choose to." And for the first time in my life, I started looking at choices. And what I saw was that I could choose to learn a new way of thinking. I could choose to learn a new way of spending my time. This was what he needed. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Dave started reconditioning his thinking. He started thinking about how he could get money to work for him instead of him working for money. He wanted to know how he could have his money working while he slept and how he could perform a job one time and have it pay him repeatedly. These are the fundamental philosophies behind real estate. Let's get back to Dave's story. Dave exclaimed, "I was feeling absolutely fearless, and I doubt myself. Was it new? Was it uncomfortable? Yes. But I was freaking fearless because I was forced and beaten into submission. The old way of doing things wasn't working. I followed mentors and coaches, and I sought people out in my life who were positive, not negative. I was so committed to doing my first deal which was a $5,000 wholesale transaction. I made $5,000 and didn't even own the house. And I'm like, holy crap, this feels illegal. I can't wait for the cops to show up on my city block to lock me up. But I earned it, man. With my brain and my fortitude, I earned it. I did it. I went after it. As a result, Dave was recognized by the people leading the education program when another opportunity presented itself. This time, the opportunity was a real estate flipping show. Initially, Dave's limited beliefs popped up as he asked what the hell the guy was thinking, since he didn't even have a real business and he was still working out of the firehouse. However, he didn't walk away from the opportunity. He acted. He skimmed the plain, vanilla application, asking about his company and the other members of his team, etc. However, he thought outside of the box and how best to make himself stand out. He knew from being in the real estate education space that there were some heavy hitters out there, and he needed to separate himself from the pack if he wanted anybody to even think about giving him a TV show. Dave, in his thick British accent, told me, so I loaded my application with profanity. All the words my grandmother said I should never say. Go Yourself, LLC, was the name of my company. Don't waste my time. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, I really went at it. And look, New York called. I sent it in, and within 15 minutes, I got a 212 area code calling my phone. And they said, you're either a lunatic or you're a genius. I asked, what's the difference? I told them to stop wasting my freaking time. Get on a plane, and let's go, baby, go. It's just been in motion ever since. I've always looked to level up. This Dave is none other than Dave Seymour, who starred in A&E's hit TV show, Flipping Boston. Too often in life, we want to know how it all ends and what the prize is without truly embracing the journey or the process to get us there. Sometimes in life, it simply comes down to taking small actions and stepping out on faith to place us on the path to our destiny. It won't always be easy, and the road will be tough at times, but that's okay. Therefore, we chase our dreams and not the dreams of others, because when you face adversity or setbacks, it becomes infinitely easier to keep the faith and overcome when you have a clear conviction on why failure isn't an option. Sometimes, you must get sick and tired of being sick and tired and act. Tony Robbins, a world-renowned consultant and motivational speaker, encourages individuals seeking motivation to take action to examine their mood and evaluate their energy levels. A positive state of mind will empower optimism. A negative state of mind can stifle progress. Eating right and exercising have a direct impact on your energy levels. If you are looking to become successful in life, whether as a real estate investor, electrician, or any other profession in life, the one key is acting. There are plenty of sayings, analogies, and cliches used to convey just how important acting is. One individual I love listening to when it comes to success is comedian and Family Feud host Steve Harvey. I recently watched an interview with Steve on the Sip and Smoke TV series with Cam Newton, where he provided thoughts about success. He said, "You have to take the stairs. There is no elevator to success." I also recall from one of Steve's talk show episodes, he provided a great analogy comparing success to a parachute on someone's back standing at the edge of a cliff. To be successful, you must take action and jump. There is no chance of your parachute opening on the cliff. We must take the leap of faith and start living instead of simply existing. How I secured my first flip. Webster defines action as the accomplishment of a thing, usually over a period, in stages, or with the possibility of repetition. One of the largest impediments to acting is analyst paralysis. We have all been there before, and it's something everyone must move past. Wall Street Journal and national best-selling author Scott H. Young says analyst paralysis is a specific form of procrastination that convinces you that you haven't given something enough thought or performed enough research to move forward. However, he recommends removing the anxiety and fear of doing the thing you're avoiding. For me, I have learned over the years to focus on what I want to happen versus focusing on the fear of what might happen if I come up short. I'll share with you the time when I came to a crossroads in my life where I needed to act to receive my breakthrough. In early spring 2015, I had finished negotiating a $200 million plus contract extension for my software development contract. We were navigating an austere resource environment, which forced us to cut back our normal spending allocation as we advanced. Through those negotiations, my team was able to save more than $10 million over the next 2 years. I loved my job, my team, and the vote of confidence our leadership had given me. Leading diverse teams as an officer in the Air Force, both at home and abroad, requires calculated risk and taking decisive actions to accomplish the mission. It's a learned skill, and you become more comfortable the more you execute the skill. This new milestone on my program gave me an awakening sense of my innate ability to operate and deliver at a high level. I took this new level of confidence and embarked on our new journey, our first fix and flip project. Melissa and I started our online search and purposefully searched for our first project. I knew we had to take massive action to reach our goal. I have learned it can take dozens of properties underwritten and offers made before obtaining a deal. We were scurrying the internet daily, consistently searching our list of websites with deals. Also, we let our realtor, who sold us our current home at the time, know our buying criteria so she could send anything that looked promising our way. It didn't take long before we found the one, an upcoming auction from a bank foreclosure in Alexandria, Virginia. Our realtor, Annabelle, was originally from England and had a distinct accent my wife loved to hear. "Mr. Linham," Annabelle exclaimed, "this will need a lot of work, but for the right price, we can do it." Annabelle was a house flipper as well, and I learned on her experience and insight to get over my fear of potentially losing a lot of our savings and amassing more debt. Aligning yourself with others who are strong in the areas where you are weak is critical to success. As you flip houses and do more and more projects, you become less anxious and more confident in identifying issues with a home and estimating rehabs as well. This was our first one, and it would be one of our most extensive rehabs to date. The house had been vacant for multiple years, which led to its rundown condition. The home has 2 levels with a kitchen, dining room, bedroom, bathroom, and washroom on the lower level with the living room, 2 additional bedrooms, and bathroom upstairs. The home had no power for some time, which caused the lower level to back up with water during heavy rains. This cycle repeated for years and ultimately created a black mold issue on the lower level, which would require remediation. The tax record said it had a pool as well. This was starting to become more than a small cosmetic rehab the more we learned. I burned the bridge behind me, and I was all in. At first, I was concerned about my wife's buy-in, but she was the unwavering rock and motivational speaker who provided the encouragement I needed to tackle these challenges head-on. We had less than a week before the auction would start, and for us to perform our due diligence and determine our max bid. With this being our first project, we had zero experience renovating a pool or remediating black mold. However, I did my research to bind our risk. Due to the mold issue, no one was permitted to enter the property. From the outside, everything looked reasonably well. It needed a new paint job, but the roof was fine. However, when peering through the side window, you could see the mold and damage caused by water over the years. A mold remediation company had given me an estimate of $7,800 to remediate the lower level based on the house dimensions. I tried to access the backyard, but the fence was locked. I had spoken with a cool pool repairman, Paul, to get an estimate for the pool work sight unseen. He was an immigrant from Bulgaria and had been in the pool business for over 10 years, and he spoke English, Russian, and Bulgarian. Based on the pool dimensions, a complete update with replacing the perimeter tile line, copping bricks, and resurfacing the entire pool would be around $10,000. However, there was a catch. Paul told me, in his Bulgarian accent, "My friend, as long as there is water in the pool, you will be safe. If it doesn't have water in it, we can have some major problems." Now, we were at the property. The mold problem had been summarized and fully understood, so the only thing that stood between us and the green light to buy this property was this rusted master lock dangling off the wooden fence. "Shoot, it's locked," I shouted. Melissa looked at me and said, "So, what are we going to do now?" I looked to her and, without any hesitation, said, "I'm going to jump the fence." She looked at me with a slight smile mixed with a face of concern and asked me, "Are you serious?" I had no other options, and I had to know if the pool had water in it or not. The auction representative told us we could look around the property, and that's exactly what we did. The fence was a standard 6-foot privacy fence, and the house sat on a corner lot. I needed a running start, so I figured approaching from the front would be my easiest route since I already peeked over the fence and saw a raised brick flower bed on the other side. Melissa went back to our SUV to wait for me to take my leap into the backyard. I played basketball in high school and was still active and in good shape, so I knew I could clear the fence. I stood beside our SUV in the driveway and surveyed my surroundings before I took my leap of faith, not only into the backyard, but into my real estate investing business. It was all clear. I took off as if I had been blasted out of the chamber of a rifle and headed toward the fence. After about 8 steps, I leaped onto the top of the wooden fence and perched my torso oh so carefully on top of the fence so I could slide down the backside. Once I landed in the flower bed in the backyard, I grinned and congratulated myself on my act of bravery. I jumped out of the flower bed and made my way to the pool. The flower bed and the grass in the yard were overgrown and knee-high. However, quite a bit of concrete around the pool and the area led to the back porch of the house. The pool had an enclosure made from 2x4s and fence wire that covered the entire length of the pool. Underneath the doomsday-looking contraption was the blackest water I had ever seen in my life. I was elated as if I just won the lottery. We were in business. I took a couple of pictures and looked in the other windows before I hurried back over the fence to head home. A couple more weeks went by, and I was extremely busy in the office, so the time flew. The auction wasn't a traditional auction, so we placed our purpose bid of $216,000 around lunchtime on April 28, 2015. Late that afternoon, I received an email from Jose, the regional sales manager for the auction company. He wanted to speak with me to discuss our offer. He confirmed our offer price and passed it to the bank for formal acceptance since we were the highest bidder. The next day, around noon, we received an automated email from the auction company stating our offer had been accepted. This was a milestone example of taking action to kick off our real estate flipping business. However, as an investor, you must become comfortable with change and acting daily, whether it's following up with the potential sellers or analyzing properties to make offers on properties. You will probably never have all the information you need to make important decisions, but that's okay. With time, you will gain experience and confidence to lower your risk and increase your effectiveness in making those decisions and ultimately becoming an astute investor. Buying my first home. I recall the parable of the talents found in the Bible, Matthew 25, verse 14 to 30, which tells a story of a master who was leaving on a journey. Before he departed on his journey, he turned over his talents or property to his servants based on their ability. This left one servant with 5 talents, another with 3, and the last with 1. Upon his return, the master asked each of his servants how they managed the talents in his absence. The first and second servants took advantage of the opportunity and increased the value of the talents entrusted to them. They were rewarded for acting and being good stewards of what they were given. Unfortunately, the third servant took a different approach and buried his talent out of fear. The master reprimanded him on being lazy and took his talent away. This parable speaks to the need to take action with the God-given abilities bestowed upon us. Everyone has different talents. However, each of us has exactly what we need to be successful in real estate and in every facet of our lives. Faith is a critical component of acting and moving forward. I remember how scared and nervous I was about buying my first house. I lived in Warner Robins, Georgia, for just about a year after commissioning as a second lieutenant in the Air Force. One of my good friends, Nick Battle, found this duplex property for sale. Nick called me. "Hey J-Man, we gotta get this duplex I found, bro. I get one side and you get the other side." I had never purchased anything in my name before since my parents gave me my first car, and I had just recently gotten my debt under control from my credit card bills I ran up in college. When it comes to taking action, there is some psychology behind it. Starting out, you must consciously recognize you almost never feel like acting. We are programmed to feel good, and many times taking action makes us uncomfortable. The second step is to make room for discomfort. I like to call it getting comfortable being uncomfortable. If you struggle with being uncomfortable, you will struggle with taking action. Ultimately, you must decide the result or your reason why is worth the temporary discomfort. From there, you simply must set a commitment and start. Did you know that responsibility was originally written as responsibility? By owning your inaction, you own your ability to respond. I'm here to tell you that you can't fail. There are no failures in life, only life lessons that make us wiser if we choose to learn from them. I was hesitant at first, but the more I investigated it and got smart on the details, I became more and more comfortable. I realized I would save over $200 per month compared to what I was paying in rent for my apartment. My bank approved my application quickly with a 100% VA loan, and I received a $320 check at closing. After moving past the fear of the unknown and buying my first property, I was infatuated with real estate. Taking this single action led to a multi-million-dollar portfolio of 30 plus units thus far and the opportunity to educate others on the power of real estate to create generational wealth. Implementation. Before taking action as a real estate investor, I had consumed hundreds of hours of personal reading, podcasts, seminars, networking, and meetups before executing our first flip project. Starting out, my favorite podcasts were the Bigger Pockets podcasts and the Real Estate Guys. As I looked to grow my flipping business, I found investors like Max Maxwell on YouTube. There are levels to success, and there is no such thing as overnight success. At that moment in time, we had 2 solid rental properties we previously lived in, and they were performing great. Additionally, we purchased 2 investment properties that required renovation in the Birmingham, Alabama market. We sold both of those to have cash reserves to take on a flip project in Northern Virginia. We all have the same amount of time every day, but it all comes down to how we choose to use our time. If you focused on reading just 10 pages a day about real estate, you would have read 3,650 pages, or the equivalent of roughly 13 books in 1 year. If you choose to commit to the journey and make a few small changes, I have faith you will realize the success in real estate you are seeking. Megachurch pastor Bishop T.D. Jakes says, "Your passion is your conviction about it. Your purpose is why you do it. Your destiny is where. Passion and purpose are joined at the hip and move together, lockstep, towards destiny. Where there is passion connected to your purpose, then set your goals higher than you think humanly possible. You will find your reward." Earlier in this chapter, I shared Dave Seymour's story of perseverance, and it demonstrated how good things can happen once we decide to act. This is one of the first principles I teach students in my mastermind group. Once you have the basics understood, the only objective left is to act and find your next deal. Have you been suffering from analyst paralysis? During this chapter, I shared my experience leading to the purchase of my first fix and flip property, along with a quick synopsis of how I bought my very first house. I sometimes wonder how different my life would have been if I had never moved out in faith and committed to those actions. What life accomplishments are potentially awaiting you once you commit to moving forward and taking more action in real estate? I encourage you to commit to 3 actions this week to accelerate your real estate investing journey. In the next chapter, we will look at how to properly define goals to focus your actions on those tasks leading to your future success.